Welcome back to the Music Arts Revival in a very cold music classroom. Hope you're having a dope day. We're going to continue with Songwriting Month. So we're looking at today it's Pain Point Day, and there's other things like artists who have smashed it in songwriting and mentors and things like that. So we looked at perfection paralysis. On the first pain point of the month. This one is creative burnout and blocks. So I've asked Perplexity to do a fact-based world-class presentation, so it's as reality-based as possible. We're just gonna have a look through and see what's going on to help us identify things within ourselves, our own patterns, and see how we can reverse that and make changes in our everyday songwriting life. So it's given me a script. Sometimes I'll just do it as naturally as possible. So the creative drought crisis, the songwriting pain point killing careers. 73% of creative workers report declining work quality due to burnout pressures. Creative blocks now last months instead of days for songwriters. Sometimes it's years. I didn't write for years. Sometimes that was to do with not feeling like I was good enough. I don't know if you have that. I wanted things to be perfect, which we did the first video on. The number 2 career killer after perfectionism is the creative drought syndrome. So, in what we're about to see explains why we might have dozens of half-finished songs, but can't complete anything new. It's not perfectionism this time, it's something more insidious. Creative burnout and creative drought have become epidemic amongst songwriters in 2025, probably been for a long time. And the data reveals exactly why. It's not about lacking talent or inspiration. It's about a systematic problem that's destroying creative careers backed by research that will change how we think about creative blocks forever. Hopefully so. So, these are the statistics showing creative burnout crisis affecting songwriters and music creators in 2025. So we shall have a look. So 73% of creative workers feel work quality is declining due to pressure. 68% report a diminished job security affecting their creativity, especially if we're still trading time for money. There's a lot. So we look a lot on this channel is getting out of the slavery market of having to show up and get paid, and that's it. Excuse me. There's obviously a lot of people have done like sync work. How that's going to go in the future, I don't know. You know, the AI music and things. Hopefully, people that are ordering sync are still going to want human-made music as a principle, but something where it's like an investment. You put energy in and then it can reoccur. If you don't have that, I can imagine, or you don't accumulate enough of that, security is on the line. 42% experience creative blocks due to stress and anxiety, up 25% in 2020. Excuse me. 29% blocked by fear of criticism and rejection. So, perfectionism, if these are the true statistics, which I'm taking it on the value that they are, even though perfectionism is the number 1 block of songwriting for creative burnout, it's in the top 5 still, but it's in that impacts less than the others. Or is it kind of saying maybe it's interesting this actually. If we're looking at this, maybe am I being really slow? I'll leave that for now because I don't know if I'm being slow, but you might be able to see what I'm missing. Here's what's really alarming. These numbers are from surveys of professional creatives. So that we've got PubMed, Musicians Union, PubMed again. it isn't hobby level stuff. The people whose livelihood depends on creativity and they're systematically burning out. So this is, even as independent songwriters, we might not be on this level, but the people that are, this is what's affecting them. So it's kind of like one of those things, when you're younger, you look at adults and you think, oh, certain things won't be affecting them still. You think you kind of got a grip on things. Sometimes I think, if you're like me, you can get caught in the same loop where I'm thinking, oh, when you're at X level, or when I'm at X level, this won't bother me. But we just humans, aren't we? So it's going to affect us in very similar ways, no matter how successful we are, if we haven't got practices to help, or a lifestyle that can help absorb those seasons and minimize them as much as possible. So, unlike previous generations who could focus purely on songwriting, 2025 songwriters must be content creators, social managers, brand builders, and performers, all while maintaining their creative output. The cognitive load is unprecedented. We do have an awful lot of things to do. And the supporting data on this is that average songwriters now juggle 6 to 8 different creative roles. It's mental, isn't it? Content creation consumes 40% of creative energy. It can do, but I think sometimes Somber, I think, did this, and he's blown up. He just did videos where he just filmed himself. We don't have to do really high edited stuff. Sometimes just sticking a camera in front of a face is fine, and just getting on with it and not knowing exactly how we're going to do things. So we haven't got the edits down. We haven't got the trending audio, all these like bits that can add up. I'm sure they help, but if they end up blocking you, not releasing content, or content just takes an inordinate amount of time that ends up blocking you moving forward, it's not worth it. So if it is taking 40% of creative energy, how can you do it so it's not? And there's a lot of plans or approaches where one day is just social media day, and then in those social media days, what's just super quick for you to do? Well, it takes less time. What I'm doing with these long form content, I can't do 5 in one day to do me in. So I'm just finding lunch times, mainly when I'm teaching, I'm just doing like they're usually about 40 minutes. So I'm just doing one then, and then do a different platforms that can help edit that, put the long form content into short form content. So you could do like a gig, or you could just do a performance of one of your songs and then have AI clip it for you. And I think it's one of the areas where AI is really helpful. I use High Clip. It's called AI High Clip. And then you could just have that, could save you a lot of time. So taking long form content and turning it into short form content is a winner. And then you can put it on YouTube Shorts, you can put it on Instagram, you can put it on TikTok. I know from what I've seen, different platforms seem to have different strengths. And in an ideal world, you probably put different types of content on different platforms. But where we're at, I think it's just volume. Like, what's the best thing for where we're at now? The best thing where we're at now is to be able to do some content that we can repurpose ACE, and keep an eye on how can we improve this in the future, because what gets you going won't get you there. So where your goal is, sometimes it might. Somber's a perfect example. From what I've seen or heard, his Instagram is nothing like his TikTok. He's a good example. His Instagram's fairly new, if I'm correct, but it's just pictures of him where it's more professional, and on his Spotify links to his Instagram. Whereas I know, or from as far as I'm already blew up on TikTok, but maybe I don't know why, but maybe because TikTok doesn't have the clout that Instagram does in terms of professionalism, maybe it's a little maneuver. So we can find people who are doing similar things and have crushed it. And a lot of the time, like Hormozy's on about, I know not everyone likes Hormozy, but the principles are sound. Find what you want, ignore what people are saying, just do an unreasonable amount of volume. And an amount of volume that will make it unreasonable for you to be successful. And that, to be able to do the volume, it has to be liftable. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to like do loads of volume on heavy weight. You can pick up the 1 kg for ages. So what's your 1 kg version of content? How can you rep it out, especially with automation, so that you can go off and do other things? That's a big key. And let me know your wins and stuff, because I'm still learning with that stuff. Social media pressure identified as top burnout trigger. Sad, isn't it? So this is where blocks hit hardest in songwriting. So most people think block. I'll come back to this as well because it's good for the chat. I'll have a quick look. So it looks like biggest one is the expression gets hit. Then just even getting started. Stephen Pressfield's War of Art is a great book and approach on that, because it's purely about resistance. Because for some reason, when we go to do stuff a lot of time, there is this magnetic force pushing you the way not to do it. Maybe it's to do with nervous system safety. Maybe I don't know, but it gets in the way a lot of the time. So Pressfield's book is great. He's on Rogan. I know some people are split on Rogan, but for a long form interview, that's really good. His book War of Art is great, and it gets more spiritual actually at the end. It's not just you just got to get on with it. It's brilliant. So I'd highly recommend it. Checking it out, or a book summary if it sounds like a good thing for you. Ideas generation get hit just underneath that 20% at 18. The planning gets hit and the direction. Be interested with the planning and direction. I guess you can't. Yeah, with direction of songwriting, you can journal. Maybe that's kind of why what's hitting that. We'll find out. People don't sit down and do it. So most people think creative blocks happen when you can't get ideas. The research we're looking at shows that's wrong. Here's where songwriters actually get stuck. 30% of creative blocks happen at the articulation stage. When you have the idea but can't express it. You know what you want to say, you can feel the song, but you can't translate it into lyrics, melody, or arrangement. I thought blocks. The way I used to think about blocks, it's just you just haven't got anything. Actually, it's the expression of them. And if we're looking at music as a language, which I like to do, and I would 100% encourage you to do the same, that goes along. It's the articulation in it, as it's saying. Sounds a bit of a dumb point. Right. Why this matters? This day destroys the myth that blocked writers have no ideas. Most block songwriters have too many ideas and can't produce them effectively. The problem isn't empty wells, it's clogged pipes. It'd be interesting as well with this clogged pipe analogy. Ed Sheeran has a thing of just writing insane amount of songs. Similar to Harmoji, just flood it with volume. And Sheeran, right, has the analogy about you've got, when you turn on the pipe, it's muddy. If you place that, right? So, and what you just got to do, you've got to leave it running, and after a while, clean water comes out. So I wonder, and this links in with the Pressfield resistance. Sometimes maybe just doing it imperfectly and to the best of what you can do that day, and then accumulating and get momentum on that. Robin talks about momentum. You get momentum. It's like starting an engine. The more that you do it, the more you habitualize, the more you got to work off. The hardest thing sometimes is getting the plane in the air. Once it's in the air, you can keep building it, like we say on this channel. But I wonder if just doing it, just do it. Which I was saying earlier, Pressfield isn't like that, but I'm just wondering if that's sometimes simple things are the best way. What do you think? So yeah, 20% of people. The other breakdown points here: motivation to bring new projects is at 20%. The traditional blank pain syndrome is at 18%. It's quite low down relatively. 14% is the structuring and organising of concepts. But there's like a lot of, even with AI, there's ways that you can use AI to be a support structure for that, not an idea generator, so that it takes the personality out of it. But in terms of being able to guide you, that'd be a good tool. Sometimes, well, like reading through books is great, but being able to interact with something, I wouldn't use ChatGPT, to be honest, because the guy who runs it seems like someone that you probably wouldn't want to invite to tea. I don't know, just from what I've seen. Perplexity looks really good. Hit me in the comments if you've seen anything bad about that. But Perplexity that I'm using today seems great. They've got a browser as well. It's more research based than ChatGPT from what I know. I know you can do deep research on ChatGPT. And also, I'm not an AI expert, so I might be wrong. But Perplexity is seeing me well, so I'd suggest that. I know Proton do a privacy thumbs up AI. I don't know how powerful it is compared to the others, but that's another one to check out if you fancy. And then 12% is the choosing of the direction, so that's the decision paralysis with multiple ideas. Maybe some part of this is just picking one and going with it, or picking 3 max and just doing what you can. So I know it's quite a theoretical thing, but they are always in the business area. I'm sure it's in other areas as well, but it's a 20% that gets you 80% of the results. And then Robbins talks about that, so I'm sure it's on the self-development thing. We're not probably going to be able to write all the songs that are in it, but what about the 20% that are really slap? And just moving that, the 20% of what will get 80% of the results for us. But it's more of a, we can intellectually know it, but then we can live in a loaded gunk and funk, can't we? And not get things done. So it's just actually taking that action, the Stephen Pressfield approach. So noticing the pattern, the pattern is deeper into the creative process, the more likely you are to get stuck. So it's not random, it's systematic creative overwhelm. So the creative death spiral that 2025 songwriters are trapped in will be recognizable in your own process once you see it, apparently. So this is the death cycle. So inspiration hits, boom, I'm going to write a banger, this is going to be sick. Then I go social media, I'm like, this is what I'm presuming. Oh no, social media, people are going to think I'm an idiot. And then I've got to do content. Then you have your energy low, then you get a block. You panic. There's more pressure, then you have a drought. Let's see if I was right in being able to read that. Right. Stage 1, you get a song idea, you're excited, creative energy's high. In previous eras, you go write the song. 2020-25, people further in the future, you immediately start thinking about content around the song. Do you? I don't know if I do. Do you? Stage 2 to 3, social media and content pressure. Before you've even finished the song, you're planning Instagram posts, TikTok clips, behind the scene videos. Your creative energy gets divided between making music and making content about making music. I can kind of see a bit of that, to be fair. You do definitely have to cut yourself off. Don't know whether it's necessarily just social media. It's probably all the other areas in it. And this is where I don't often talk about the arc, because if you're interested in it, you'll find it, because I'll link it in the bottom of the description anyway. If you fancy it, you can go for it. So these videos are really to help and support, and then people who like me and like things that I'm doing and fancy going deeper can do it. But the arc it's in beta stage at the moment. It's great for it. I'm doing it at the moment myself. It's great because it does go through the 5 stages, and it goes in 5 stages. The first stage is just about songs. You can just focus on songs, knowing that the future elements are all sorted for you, so that the bricks are going to be laid in place. So your music artist's house is going to get built. I wonder if part of this, maybe, even if it's not necessarily social media and content pressure, maybe it's just about, because we think a lot of us are in the loop of release, social media, and that's it, right? We get stuck in a loop and we get focused on vanity metrics. Then, and we kind of see going viral or getting a big fan base online as the way forward, the way to success. And maybe that's why. It'd be interesting to see what you think, and if what your experience with what you worry about is, because it's not always necessarily the big numbers. Obviously, ideally, if you have amazing numbers of followers and those fans interact and come to your shows and buy your merch and are really into it, cool. That'd be obviously amazing. But it's more about, from what I'm seeing, it's more about having a smaller number of super engaged fans and being able to build community with them. And then, however you do it, interacting with them and creating with them. Some people are comfortable saying what artwork someone single base, some people are not. Some people are fine saying what song's going to be my single, some people are not. But even if you're not, which I don't know how into that I am, at least at the moment, I don't know. There's something quite sacred in songwriting, unless I did something specifically for that. But there's loads of ways you can build a community with them and have them engaged and make real, genuine relationships, so that if people want to support you further, and also for themselves, they really love your music, they want to go to your concerts, they want to go buy your merch, then they're already talking to you, they're already in a community with you, each other fans, so they can purchase it. And a lot of people, I've heard of people that haven't got amazing Spotify numbers but are crushing it because they've got this very set up. So it's not dissing streaming, and I'm still learning the benefits of streaming, because I know it's like Create with Troy on Insta. He seems really great, and there's other people that are talking about streaming. I'm sure streaming does help. I'm still joining the dots of it. But what I do know is it's better, whatever numbers you have, it's better to have quality fans. And that comes from what I've seen through community and engagement, and really know who your fans are. I'd call it ICAs in industry. Ideal customer avatars. So who are these people talking to? IBs says you just go for loads of them. Some people have like a couple. Gary Lee, from what I remember, said the mistake of huge corporations and businesses is they only have one ideal customer avatar, whereas there's all these people that have all these nuances in their lives that will be into music. You can be talking to them, and then using social media as a TV station to run your adverts for free, especially if you're doing it low weight, like we were saying earlier, in a way that supports your time frame and what you've got available and reach. And then the ones that you go really well, then you can put money on and ads. This is how I understand it at the moment. Anyway, I might be wrong. But then it's having those people where those people able to come. Yeah, you can send to your Spotify, but it's also getting to your community. And at least when you don't own the emails or anything, Instagram do, TikTok do. If they go down, what you're left with. So it's kind of like a pop-up tent is your Instagram. Any social media is a pop-up tent. It might be there for years like Instagram, but presumably at some point it's going to go down. So you want to make sure, this is why the community is such a great thing, whether it's on Discord or School or Telegram or WhatsApp or wherever your community is, to have those people's details that the house is happy to give you, because then you've got them no matter what. And it's the thing of, if you've got 100 fans paying you £1,000 a year, that's like 100 grams. If you've got 50, these numbers are more than manageable, especially when you learn about sales and level up on like what you're going to be able to sell, because the higher you can sell things for, the better, up to a point, obviously. If you're, what I mean by that is if what you're able to put in something that's like, say it's like 1 to 5K. So the farm that's buying it is just mega. They'd pay 10 grand, 15 grand for it. You're on a winner. Even if it's, say you went for a 1K offer. If it was worth 5 to 10K for them, then they'll be loving it. So how can you set up high ticket offers as well as your medium and low ones for your different groups? Obviously, merch is a gold, that kind of gold standard. But if you look at people like Youngblood's building $100 million business empire, and he's festival tickets, I think they're $30, $50. Whereas he's got that, and he's got a shop on Denmark Street in London where you can get personalised merch, you can hang out. It's very much community vibes. He's serving his community, but he's making a lot of money while he's doing it. Great. Everyone's winning. So how can you make business win for you? Because we all buy stuff. We're all happy buying stuff. I know prices might be a bit mental at the moment, but that's because you're not getting a return for... You're getting shafted. But if your wages were good or your business was good and prices were reasonable, amazing. Really, we're getting being able to eat rather than have money is amazing. But obviously, within context of paying bills and saving and all this kind of stuff, it's, especially at the moment, at least in the UK, I'm sure it's around the world, to be honest, it's a joke. So you're not going to set up your sales system so that you replicate in the UK economy at the moment, because you'd be shafting your fans. But what you would do is you'd have it where it's the opposite. It's what they'd be stoked, basically. So with this social media, I wonder if this social media pressure, once you start seeing these things in business and being able to have your system, whether it's through the arc or whether it's through other people or your own way, once you've got a way of working and it's simplified, and you're giving out amazing value. I know that term's thrown around a lot, but you're giving out amazing value, and the people that are buying it are absolute stoked, winning. And especially if you can do things where you put them up and then like merch is a low, like more of a low ticket offer in terms of the price. People just keep buying it if it's sick. So, and then you're not trading your time for money. That's slavery, man. That's how I see it. I don't know about you. Stage 4 to 5, energy depletion and creative blocks. By the time you sit down to actually finish the song, your creative reserves are depleted. Your block isn't mysterious, it's mathematical. You've used your creative energy on everything except creating. Especially if you haven't to work loads as well and you're worried about this, and then the time that you do have, like time management things, like Tony Robbins has got a great one called RPM. I'm pretty sure you can find out the workings of it just online. I know he does have the paid course as well in the program, but I'm sure you can find it for free. And there's get things done. There's that people following people who are successful with the time. Usually a lot like, is it Simon Sinek? Like, what's your why? Where are you going? Why do you want it? What's the next best thing you can do to get there? How can you model people? Are you also finding out as you go on your own? Like, what's the crap? Modeling is obviously an amazing way of doing it. Much quicker a lot of the time, especially if you can figure out what you want, why you want it, and who you want to be modeling. That's probably like the third thing, or later down the line. But we can do it. So a lot of the time, we don't have a time management. You can't manage your time. I know that, but a prioritization method, however is best to name it, so we're just not scattered. It's that entropy in it, thing to become more organized. It's just being organized, really. What works for you, and just knowing perfection isn't going to happen. Just aim to the best you can, and 20% that gets you 80% there. So all these recurring patterns, it's just get habitualizing them. It's like a bit of it's growing pains, isn't it? You get growing pains in you, like, oh, like this. But if we focus on one thing, it'll get better. Like, look at anything that we've done in our life, we focus on, we've got better at it. Sometimes it's not the things we want to get better at, but we've got better at them. So, same with these. It might be unfamiliar to you, but you can do it. I'm learning as well. So, stage 6 to 8. Now you're stuck, which creates panic and self-doubt. Your audience expects content, so you feel pressure to produce, which creates more blocks, leading to a complete creative drought. So a lot of time as well, I've seen marketing, well, not a lot, I've seen marketing and social media people talk about, they do campaigns months in advance. So they've just got the three, you know what season they're in from a branding point of view. They've made content and then they'll just release it. If you can do that, great. If you can't, the minimal weight analogy is a good one. So the day confirms average time from idea to release is 4 to 6 months in 2025 versus 2 to 4 weeks in 2000. 2000 still sounds so young, man. Number of abandoned projects per finished song. The ratio is 7 to 1 in 2025 versus 2 to 1 in 2000. So this is the creative block duration, past versus present. It's a comparison showing how creative blocks last significantly longer in the digital age. So, here's the most alarming finding. Creative blocks used to be temporary inconveniences. Now they're career-threatening conditions. The traditional era, 45% of blocks lasted only days, 5% lasted a year. And in the 2025 digital era, only 15% last days, 25% now lasts over a year. It happened to me. Think about this one. 1 in 4, just as that there's so much to do. And also, I didn't think I was good enough. 1 in 4 songwriters experienced creative blocks in 2025 will be stuck over a year. It's not a creative block, it's a creative disability. So, why the change? Traditional creative blocks were usually about specific projects or external pressures. Modern blocks are systematic. They're about the entire creative ecosystem being broken. So the contributing factors, it's saying, algorithm anxiety is the fear of content not performing because we put so much on it. And it's important, but it's that be-all and end-all, like I was saying before. Comparison culture, constant exposure to other success. We can be inspired by them. How about that? Multitasking demands creative energy scattered across platforms. Go minimal. What will work for you? What doesn't? Cut the fat. Economic pressure, creativity tied directly to survival. Elizabeth Gilbert. Elizabeth Warren's the politician. Elizabeth Gilbert. Just starting to do the career star, I think. Heaven forbid. Elizabeth Gilbert. Her angle is don't make creativity pay for itself. I have that pressure. Do something else for it. I think it's a great approach. I think like the way I'm doing it, that's not gonna happen because I want to help people as well as do my art career. Maybe I'll do other things as well, but that's tied in it. I don't know what it's like for you, but it's something to think about as well. There's so many things going on at the moment of being able to make money, where it's AI. I know AI's got a lot of the shadow side to it. But with that, if you can make money alternative way, that might be a way of doing it. Or is there something to do with music that you can do that isn't directly tied to your songwriting that will help? Like I teach in primary schools. It's great. It's not what I want to do, but it's better than working in a restaurant for me anyway. So could you teach? Could you do music therapy stuff? Could you do anything like that? Or if not, what else could you do? The hidden causes research reveals that academic research on writer's block has identified specific causes, and they perfectly explain what's happening to songwriters in 2025. Psychological causes, 42%. Stress and anxiety from constant content pressure. Try to say that 5 times fast. So that is actually PubMed. I was like, oh, maybe it's not. I was like, but it's not PubMed. It's the American Journal, National Institute of Health, and that, isn't it? Sleep disruption from algorithm chasing schedules. I feel like we have to do everything. I used Dan Sullivan's got a great thing where you have 2 days off, and he prioritizes days off in a week and the year. He puts them in his diary first, and he has 2 days of doing and 3 days of planning. I'm playing around with that, so you have a bit of a rhythm every week. You don't have to think about what you're doing or what. It's kind of like theming days, isn't it? But that's where the time chunking comes in. Some people don't like time chunking, can feel a bit squashed, but the day theming of days like that, or it doesn't have to be black and white, because there might be some things that you have to do every day, but getting as close as you can, because you get into a flow state. If you have meetings at the beginning of the day and then you have to go do creative and then you go do something else afterwards that's opposite, from what I understand, that just disrupts your focus, especially if it's the closer it is to what you're doing. If you see a notification, apparently, even if you do something, you see a notification and you look back, you lost 10 minutes. So the opposite of that is obviously just trying to theme your day, where you just do something every day as close as possible, because it's got to have some flexibility, right? So mental fatigue from context switching between creative and marketing tasks. The motivational cause is 29% fear of criticism, amplified by social media exposure. Performance anxiety from public creative process. I mean, that's one of the things people are loving at the moment, I think, is watching people do things. It's like, if you watch Escape to the Chateau, this couple bought an abandoned chateau and did it up. And I'm really learning this about myself. You don't need to be amazing at something or familiar. Like my business stuff, I'm obviously going through my arc that I'm doing. I'm going through it. I've planned it and put it together. I'm like building the shadow, so to speak. I definitely did get some anxiety through that. Doing that, like, I can't. It's got to be done, or I've got to look like I know what I'm doing. Well, build this plane in the air, so to speak. So some of it, the public creative process, I know there's some things within that with songwriting you don't want to share with other people, but being able to be vulnerable with people in a way that you're comfortable with doesn't mean they have to know your inner darkest secrets or really personal things that have gone on, but just on a human level of, this sort of stuff can freak me out, or this sort of stuff I find anxious. You find your barometer of that actually helps. I think people actually warm to you more. There's days of these demigods just floating around and making things perfect straight away. Never existed anyway. Sorry, it's cool. They never existed in the first place. So it makes you more human. You've got to suck, man. You got to suck for a long time, and then you get better. You get better at it, but it's a process. People will engage with it, I think, a lot more. So, loss of enjoyment when creativity becomes purely commercial. So this would tie into the Elizabeth, not Warren, but Gilbert. So don't make it your sole form of income. In fact, if you look at Kanye or Youngblood, they've got fashion design outlets, or some people go into acting. I think if you can diversify your income, from what I've seen anyway, that's always a good thing. It makes it more sturdy. I know some people say the opposite, but from what I've seen, that's a good thing. And if part of diversifications means that you can take the pressure off having to make music all the time, then brilliant. So like I'm helping music artists in my own way. Maybe there's a way you can help music artists in your own way. Maybe you're amazing at making merch or branding, or I don't know what it is, but maybe you can help. You can help so that you don't have to be creating music all the time. You can go live your life, do the Lauryn Hill thing where she said that she's getting a lot of slack for it after she did the Doo-Wop album. Or that thing album. Miseducation, that was it. Miseducation of Mrs. Banks, is it? And then, but she needed some time just to go live a life. So how can you have that leverage in your life where you can be still contributing and growing in the way that's going to make you really happy and feeling fulfilled, but then allow you time off from making music. Perfectionism is part of the 13% of cognitive causes, which we did cover previously. Overthinking due to multiple platform consideration. One of the things I got off one of my business mentors is get one platform, make $1 million on that, move on to the next. And what I'm doing that, but I'm just repurposing stuff on YouTube and playing around with it on YouTube Shorts and stuff, just to see what happens. But I'm going to go in on Instagram, get Instagram locked off, and then I am doing YouTube, but I'm not. All I'm doing is doing long form content and posting. I'm not figuring out the ins and outs of it. Maybe that is enough of the ins and outs. I'm not sure, but I'm just really with the Instagram. The Instagram's like the main thing. Sometimes like TikTok, you get more interactions, but not necessarily more serious people. That's on Instagram, but then there's loads of people that are blown up, like Lowly Young and stuff on Instagram. So you can never play around with it. Decision fatigue from too many creative and business choices. What's the 20% that's going to get you there? What's the next best step? Really reduce it. The solution part, and here we go. Research shows that blocks resolve fastest when you address the underlying systematic causes, not just the creative systems. So, what actually works? 1, creative compartmentalization. I said that a lot smoother than I thought I was going to do. Separate creating time from content time. Research shows that switching between creative and analytical tasks kills flow state. What was I saying, bro? Block out creation only time. Boom. Collaboration as block breaker. Musicians Union research confirms collaboration breaks blocks faster than any solo technique. Your creative block might be in isolation, not inspiration. Get yourself in a community of songwriters. That would work. School's got some. Or there's probably loads of Discord. I know there's Reddit. There's different vibes of the Reddit threads, but they're there. There's a few start-offs. The routine cure. Number 3. Nick Cave's method is research proven. Show up daily, whether inspired or not. This is just, I think, pretty sure this is the War of Art, the Stephen Pressfield thing as well. Consistency breaks the cycle of waiting for perfect conditions. Done, it's better than perfect. Pressfield's great with this. I know I said that before, but 4, energy management over time management. Track your creative energy like, athletes track training loads. Most 2025 blocks are energy depletion, not creative depletion. That's really cool. I've never tracked my creative energy. What I have done is in that app, you can traffic light, green, amber, red, where you are. If you're red, you just have the day off. If you're amber, then we just take it chill. If you're green, boom, let's smash it out. But if you're having goals for the day that are on amber and green is really good, because I'm still getting to grips with this. I'm only just starting to do it. Is if you just got green, I've got loads of time and loads of energy, and that amber days and you don't, you can get a bit bogged down with it. But you have different levels of the amounts that you're going to do on those days, but you just know that amber one's going to get you there, the green one's going to get you there faster. Boom. You can adapt. The good enough release strategy. Counterintuitively, releasing imperfect work more frequently reduces blocks by removing the pressure for each piece to be perfect. You're just doing so much. It's good enough. I love it. Aim for good enough. I'm enjoying. Aim for good enough. Aim for out. Have a long view of outstanding, because that's what you want. Boom, 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 boom. And get rid of perfect. It doesn't exist. So, these questions, it feels weird. Sometimes like good questions, yeah, but when I read them, it just feels weird. So, what's blocking you? What's resonated in this that's helped? What things have you found that you've done have unlocked your potential and got rid of the drought, squashed the burnout, and mean that you can just show up on a regular basis and grow in the way that you want. We'd love to hear it, because we're all on this journey together, man. And even if you know something, having a reminder of it, if you're not doing it, is brilliant. If you are doing it, having a reminder to reinforce it is always great. So your comments and suggestions are always really welcome. And end of the day, life and music are both team sports, so we're on the same team. So gratitude for watching so far. If you have done, I hope this has helped you, and I hope this helps alleviate burnout and is giving you some practical things and approaches and inspiration for you to be able to take forward, make music, and be happier than you would be otherwise. All right. I hope you have a dope day. Peace.